we cannot leave out when we have a conversation about what draws us to the country is global exposure. And as a parent, whenever I think of the sacrifice that I made coming to the country and what I want, what the system is offering my children, it's one of the things that stand out is global exposure. With the education that they're earning, with the education that they have, I know and I'm rest assured that in the event that they decide they want to go somewhere or they want to relocate back home, it carries so much value and weight what they have earned here, be it in terms of education, and for adults, be it in terms of the experience that we have gained working in this system, becomes a gateway to opportunities globally, becomes a gateway to being accepted, to being given preference when we say we want to penetrate other job markets, we want to relocate to other countries, or we want to join other systems. Economically, the UK still opens doors to education, healthcare, safety, employability, job security, you name it. But politically, the climate is hostile, shaky, and very reactive. And guess what? Today, I just found myself asking this very question, and it's a question that I never thought I would ask publicly. Do you know what I'm like? And the question is the UK still worth it? Having moved to the UK in 2022 as a caregiver, I had a dream, I saw opportunity, everything was just what opportunity should look like. The future looked really bright, and I moved with my family, seeking greener pastures, seeking of myself opportunities for my children. And it, on paper, it presented that. However, time has passed and we are in 2025. And what is playing out politically in the political arena. And I'm not someone who is so invested in politics, but however, it's when it affects me like it's doing now that I'm in the UK, and everywhere you look at, we're talking migration, we are talking how can we really cut down on numbers, how can we take off what we promised the migrants when they were coming here, that I'm beginning to ask myself this question: is the UK still worth it? And I'm not here trying to convince you to either leave or to stay. Neither am I here to scare you and really paint this grim picture about the UK, because it's a lovely country with so many opportunities. It's a country that has given me so much, and I'll be diving into all of that in this video. However, this is a question that we cannot afford to ignore anymore. This is a question that's dominating every conversation. Whenever you see migrants talking, be it on social media or physically, part and parcel of what dominates that conversation is the question that is it still worth it? Is what we came for still standing a chance in today's UK? So that's what we're going to be talking about in this video. So without wasting much of your time, a big welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm Florence, and on this platform we do talk about life in the diaspora, life abroad. We talk about opportunities, we talk about struggles, and unfortunately today's conversation is dominated by struggles that we're facing as migrants. And without wasting much of your time, let's get right into it. Of course, without sugarcoating or beating about the bush, let's talk about what still works today in UK, because a lot of people would say, but if the situation is like this, why not move? Why not come back home? Why not move to another country? And yet you still find a large group of migrants still would choose the UK even today. Some would choose to stick, even if they say we're moving indefinite leave to remain to 10, 20 years, you still see some people holding on. What is it that they're holding on to? I'll give you a few examples. Definitely the healthcare system still works. The NHS, I work for the NHS and I know it works. I know what it offers. And I know a lot of people do complain about waiting times, but still the service is there, and still you don't have to pay for it. When you compare it with other countries, and when we compare it with where we come from, you cannot compare the healthcare system. And it's one of the reasons why a lot of people are drawn to the country. So it still does work. Let's talk about schooling. Obviously, education is still free. And I always look at my children and how they're growing and how they're enjoying education. And I compare it with back home and ask myself, would I still even be able to afford the school that they were going to if I was still back home? Because you had to pay school fees, whether or not someone was in kindergarten, primary school, high school, and having to pay all the way until tertiary education. Would I still be able to do that? And even in other countries as well, people pay school fees. So it's one of the things that I'm actually grateful for, this opportunity that the UK has given me and my family and my children above everything. Let's talk about the job market as well. We cannot ignore the fact that still employers are looking for skilled people out there. The job market is so full of jobs. When you've got the skill, when you've got the experience, when you've got the qualifications, then definitely it can never run out of opportunities in this country. Worse off if you're someone who is willing to get their hands dirty, someone who is willing to really be doing the work. There's so many opportunities out there. I will speak as someone who is a caregiver in this country. There's so many opportunities, whether you decide to work in domiciliary community, work in hospitals, work as a support worker. Amazing, brilliant opportunities. No wonder why. I remember when I made a video in July of this year talking about the white paper policy, there was a projection of 150,000 vacancies in care alone. And it's not the only thriving industry. You talk of the construction industry, hospitality industry, so many opportunities out there. The job market is buzzing with opportunities. But for those that are willing either to start from the bottom, willing to get their hands dirty, willing to put in the work, willing to work so hard, then those opportunities will always be there. I also talk about safety, just feeling safe where you are at. And I know a lot of things do happen, and I know this is not a country that is 100% safe, but I've relocated in this country in 2022, and I've never felt safe anywhere than I do where I am at. I've never been in somewhere where I'm at peace mentally. So those are some of the things that are really big deal breakers, especially when we look at what is happening around the world, not just looking at Africa, but everywhere else, even in other first world countries, the crime rate, that everything else that is going on in there. That is the one thing that can make you really feel so grateful about living in this country. And of course, part and parcel of what we cannot leave out when we have a conversation about what draws us to the country is global exposure. And as a parent, whenever I think of the sacrifice that I made coming to the country and what I want, what the system is offering my children, it's one of the things that stand out is global exposure. With the education that they're earning, with the education that they have, I know and I'm rest assured that in the event that they decide they want to go somewhere or they want to relocate back home, it carries so much value and weight what they have earned here, be it in terms of education, and for adults, be it in terms of the experience that we have gained working in this system, becomes a gateway to opportunities globally, becomes a gateway to being accepted, to being given preference when we say we want to penetrate other job markets, we want to relocate to other countries, or we want to join other systems. So it's the world-class global exposure that we get, being by virtue of us being privileged to work in such systems, being privileged to have the exposure to the education that this country offers. So it's part and parcel of the things that will always draw us to this country. Part and parcel of the reasons why most people would say, well, I'll sit out the 5 years, I'll sit out the 10 years, I'll sit out the 15 years, because there is something there. There is a plus there. In as much as we would have appreciated indefinite leave to remaining at the standard 5 years, but it's out of our control, and anyway, it's still subject to consultation at the moment. So we do hope, whichever way it goes, one has to look at everything objectively before they can make that rash decision to say, well, the UK doesn't work anymore, or there's two sides to it, the politics side of things and the functionality and the economy side of things is all to consider. Of course, let's get into the downside of things. What is changing? What are the cons? Policy volatility. Honestly, ever since I got here, it's been one rule change after another, and it seems like it's getting worse. This year alone, I think we've seen already 4 changes around immigration policies, around visa rules and things like that. The changes are just too much. And you don't know when they will stop. You don't know what's coming in next. You don't know what's changing and what's staying. That alone really puts a huge strain emotionally. If you're an immigrant like myself, you really feel the weight. You really feel so drained with the changes that are coming each and every day. The second thing, which is a downside when it comes to this country, is the uncertainty. Each and every day now, we're having to ask ourselves to say, will I qualify or not? Part and parcel of why we ask that question is because everything is, and whether it's indefinite leave to remain or citizenship, it's subject to you applying and fitting a certain criteria. And what's even worse is the fact that that criteria is changing every day. They're adding things every day. I've been looking at that consultation document. You need to go and watch it. I'll put the link in the description. Let's take the time to go through it. The criteria is changing daily. Not that there is anything wrong with the criteria, but it's when you're thinking, I'm ticking 1, 2, 3, 4 boxes, and then they add something else. So it's the uncertainty that is so draining for most migrants. And I don't know what threshold of absorbance you would need for you to survive this, because I'm drained every day. I'm just thinking about it, just reading through it. It's draining. And speaking of emotional strain, the emotional waiting. It seems like we're going to wait and wait until forever. Just now we are talking about the proposal to this end pathway, and we're going to have to wait for this consultation. So people are putting input, contributions, and then in July of next year, you can imagine the period. You can imagine how that waiting period is like if one is a migrant. I've been privileged enough to talk to people who were due to apply for indefinite leave to remain next year. Some are just shy of, some are in their 4th year, some are approaching their 5th year, and it's heartbreaking. And for me, I'm now in my 4th year, and I was thinking, oh God, not again. But it is what it is, and that waiting, that uncertainty will just be the death of us as immigrants. Another con as well will be cost of living. I cannot lie to you. I remember when I came in 2022, you could fill a basket with £20, but now a trip to the grocery store for me, really, I feel like every time that I go, it's £100 gone. Cost of living has gone up. Childcare is just another thing. If one is a migrant and you've got young children, I came when my youngest was 4 and now she's 7 still. Childcare is another thing that takes a toll in the strain for you. It's another thing that really puts off a lot of people. And I've been speaking to people that recently brought their children over to join them, young children, and the change from when they used to work a lot, work so many hours without having to really be there for children, and how it affects your pocket is just beyond anybody's imagination. You've got to be ready. You've got to really be open to what it does when you factor in all that cost of living, housing costs as well. Cost of housing has just gone up. Rentals have gone up, and it is what it is. It is the new reality. So it's part and parcel of the things that really people think about when they think about, is it still worth it, really, relocation to the UK or staying in the UK? Those are some of the things that we have to be thinking about, some of the things that we have to be talking about. And I've been seeing and I've been hearing of other migrants really thinking now is the time to really be thinking either about going somewhere or about really relocating back home. Now is the time to be preparing. But should that be in the immediate future or long term? These are some of the things that we shall be just becoming unpredictable. And if you're someone with a family, if you're someone really looking at somewhere where you can settle long term, it's the unpredictability that is really the most difficult thing about the UK. It's the one thing that really can put you off. Not the fact that there are no opportunities, not the fact that you cannot relocate to the UK anymore. It's just how unpredictable it has become. You can't be certain for sure that what happens after 3 years, what happens after 5 years, because of all these drastic changes that are coming into place, and they seem to not be ending. And here is where people ask the questions to say, so where are the real options? What are the options that we have at our disposal? And today I've got 3 options that I do feel these are viable if one is a migrant or if one is really feeling the effects of all of this, because not every migrant is really being affected, because some are migrants but they came 20, 30 years ago and they've already earned their citizenship in the country, and of course they do sympathize and reach out, feel what we feel. But here are 3 things that one can do. Now is not the time for us to be fear-mongering and panicking and making just drastic changes without really much thought into it. But instead, one of the things that I do swear by is upskilling intentionally. Look at what you're doing at the moment and how you can add value to what you're doing while you're still doing what you're doing. Why do I insist on what you're doing at the moment? I'll give you an example to say, if one came on a skilled worker visa and is a caregiver, you don't have so many options. You can't be doing anything else aside the care work, but that should not stop you from upskilling. You can actually enroll into short courses, because I know I've shared my experiences where I went to university and they told me that because you came to work, you're just supposed to be working. You can't enroll on a full-time course. But if you are within organizations such as the NHS, organizations that do offer apprenticeships, jump on those things and upskill. Make sure you qualify for those things. Make sure you're targeting those things. But you cannot be targeting them without applying, without positioning yourself for that. Hard work, commitment, and putting your all into your job really will position you in such a way that if an opportunity arises to upskill, you're supported, you're picked, you are chosen for that. Also, individual upskilling. I've come across a lot of people who are doing the NBQs, and a big shout out to them. It's a good way to upskill. The other thing as well that you should not even underestimate when you're in this country is never underestimate the power of apprenticeships. If you can hop onto an apprenticeship, do hop onto it. It's a powerful course in this country. It's got recognition in this country and recognition as well abroad. So it's another course that will give you options. Also, while we're talking on upscaling and upgrading, look at other avenues as well, avenues like tech, construction. If you can find your way into upscaling into those are in demand areas, those are in demand courses, both in this country and elsewhere abroad. Because I've spoken and shared about Australia, I've also spoken about Canada, America, other prospective first world countries that are looking for skilled people. So it will be a good thing if you aim your skills in this country. You'll be the talent that they're looking for, really. So let's not sleep on these opportunities while we're just focusing on what is happening at hand. Also, the second thing that I want to share with you is the time for us to be focusing on your opportunities. Now, instead of us really putting our eggs in one basket and focusing on the land that we came to, we've noticed that with all these changes, we may never belong. We may never really maybe end that citizenship or end that indefinite leave to remain. There's nothing wrong with really starting focusing on back home where we came from. What is it that I can do? What are some of the opportunities that I can actually start tapping into even whilst I'm abroad? What some of the ventures and industries that I want to venture into back home? Opportunities for earning, opportunities for building, a future back home. So don't sleep on these opportunities. I've seen a lot of people are building back home. A lot of people are starting businesses back home. A lot of people are investing elsewhere abroad, not just focusing on this country alone. So it's something that I do encourage people to do right now, while we wait and see. Last but not least, one of the things that I do encourage people to do is to start exploring other avenues, exploring which other countries can one relocate to. We cannot put our eggs in one basket. We need to start looking at other countries. I always say, if someone is young, there's nothing that should stop you from saying, well, the UK is not offering me what I thought it would offer me. Why not look at Canada? What are the options? What are the opportunities? And a lot of people are looking at how best can I relocate either to Australia or Canada as a caregiver, or you can actually relocate to those countries on a lot of other visas that you can do. If you're couples, start looking at what are some of the opportunities that you can start tapping into. Remember, the same way we came to the UK is the same way we can actually make it work relocating to other countries. I applaud those people that have made that huge step of really saying, well, the UK hasn't worked for me. The UK hasn't offered me what I was looking for, and I'm taking that big step to relocate elsewhere, and it has worked for them. I've spoken to people who have gone to Australia, people who have gone to Canada, America, and things are actually working out for them. Of course, each and every country has got its own struggles, its own ups and downs, but it might be something that you can live with. It might be something that you can cope with. So depending on your circumstances, depending on what you have, and also depending on your age as well, it could be the time that we start exploring opportunities elsewhere, opportunities in a different country altogether. Also, I haven't come across people that have actually explored the study route, whereby you can say, well, in 2-3 years' time, maybe I would have saved enough for me to then go into full-time study, even if it means I'll have to self-fund. I suggest that I'm speaking to young people, because I know there are other young people that actually relocated to the country on a skilled worker visa, and it's not looking too good. But again, remember, part and parcel of the proposal is really focusing on high value occupations, critical skills, things like nursing and stuff. So if you save enough money, enroll into a degree, enroll into a university, change from a work visa to a study visa. It would have given you enough time to save, enough time to put aside fees that is enough for you to fund your full-time course. But once you're finished, you're going into a job, you have to wait for 3 years and your indefinite leave to remain. And I know it sounds like it's a long road to go, but it's one that gives you value. It's one that gives you peace of mind. It's one as well that will make you a high earner. If you decide you want to pursue tech, you want to go into tech and innovation, there is a whole visa dedicated for that, the global talent visa, and you won't have to even wait that long. You wait just for 3 years and you can earn your indefinite leave to remain. But also, it's when you make these bold decisions that you also unlock bold opportunities. It's the bigger the risk, the bigger the opportunity, the bigger the reward at the end of the day. And that should be a mindset that we should now be having, especially if you're living abroad. If you're living in the UK at the moment, you should be looking at those big risk opportunities, those big risk decisions, and those big risk investments into yourself, into your career, into your education, into your upgrade and upskill. I never want to have this conversation and not share with you how I'm doing it, because I promised on this platform, I promised you that I was going to navigate each and every step going forward and share it with you. So I'll just give you an insight into how I am navigating all of these changes, all of these decisions, not as your advisor, but as your sister in growth and community. So for me, I would look at safety, my family safety. Are my children safe where we are at? And so far, the UK is offering me that. So my family safety comes first before anything. Also, part and parcel of the things that I look at is education. For me, education is so important. Education, my children's education, is very key. So if a place is offering me that, then it's ticking the boxes. The third thing that is key for me is career growth, career progression. For me, that's quite big. So whether I'm in a workplace or I'm in a country, whatever country I am in, whether I was back home or I'm here, I always look at career progression and growth. Because for me, I know it's when I advance career-wise, when I advance in my job role, it will unlock the next door, it will unlock the next level for me. So I am always focused on those things, and I'm always pushing myself towards education, upgrading. I'm always pushing myself towards career progression, advancing. And for those of you that have been following me, this platform for a long time, I came working in domiciliary, amazing, brilliant setting, and nearly everything that I know about care and everything that I know about professionalism in the UK really stems from there, because that was the best. That's where I started. But I've since transitioned into the NHS, and what an amazing learning base for anyone that wants to grow and learn, starting from the bottom, regardless of what industry or what educational background you come from. The NHS is the best place to be. And so no wonder why I've shared so many videos of how I did it and how you can do it. Opportunities in the NHS are endless. And also, not even mentioning job security in your work for them. You said your job is secure. It's one of the things that are quite important if one is a migrant. So for me, those are the deal breakers. And I know when I focus on those things, then future opportunities, whether in the country or elsewhere, will unlock. So I challenge you to really pick your deal breakers, pick the things that are quite key and important for you, and start pivoting and leveraging on those things to unlock future opportunities, whether here or elsewhere. So, is the UK still worth it? This question can only be answered by who you are becoming. What is it that you want to build can answer that question. It cannot just be answered by what the government changes are coming or what policy changes the government is implementing. It's only answered by who you are becoming, what you are building, your goals, and what you aspire will make a good answer for that question for you. So that's all I had for you in this video. I do hope you found value in this video. If you were about to make a decision on whether the UK works or not, whether there are opportunities or not, I hope I've answered all those questions for you. And if you're wanting a template that I'm using to navigate all of these and make decisions around it, just type in the comments template and I will share my template, the one that I'm using. And I've also shared it with my close friends who actually found it very value field, but I'll share it in the community tab, but only if you type in template, I'll then share it in the community tab. So see you in my next video, and we've got so much to explore, so much to share with each other, especially during this time, because the changes are coming and the consultation process is in place, and it's when you are into it that so many questions are coming, and I will be coming and making videos answering some of the questions that you bring forward, and also some of the questions that I do have, because I am on this journey with you. I am also affected by these changes. So I'll see you in our next video. Bye for now. God bless you.